Welcome to Closer to Christ, or General Conference. We're just two friends sharing our own approach to studying General Conference. This is Abby.
And Amy.
And we're so glad that you guys joined us today.
Yeah, welcome. We're happy you're here.
We've got some feedback that we don't sound like ourselves. We are really going to try our hardest to be a little more authentic. But if you ever sat in front of a microphone and tried to record yourself and then had to listen to it back, you would know the pain that this causes us.
With a little bit of voice coaching on the side, and you have all these different thoughts in your mind. So with that, we'll jump into this awesome talk.
This was an awesome talk. Did I mention what we were going to go over today? I don't think I did. We are going to be going over Elder Brent H. Nielson's talk called A Record of What I Have Both Seen and Heard. Mm-hmm. Did you love this as much as I loved it?
It was so good. There was so much in it. And there were, specific things that jumped out to me that I just loved.
Okay, hopefully you are ready to share, because I think you should take it. Should I kind of open with a preface of what the gist of the talk was?
Go for it.
Maybe I would start a really cited lesson that way. I'd open it by saying his background is he's a lawyer, and he obviously the words testimony and witness were common to his profession. And then as he got set apart in this special calling, he thought, hey, that's the same words that I'm accustomed to using in my work life. Right. And so for me, I love that he, like, who loves the law, right? That's not the most favorite thing to talk about. And then I'm like, and then boom, he switched it, and we're talking about Jesus Christ and being a witness of him and making a record or testimony of the things that we know about Jesus Christ. So in the first paragraph, he got me there. And this is the end of his service, right? He's an emeritus now at the end of this conference. Mm-hmm. And so what a neat opportunity to be able to put down for himself and for his posterity. They'll be able to look back at this and kind of see the whole spectrum of the places they've traveled to, the people that they've seen, the growth of the church. And he kept saying things like, there's never been a better time to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Loved it.
Every time you'd say that, like, I kind of got a little bit like emotional, like, I agree. And people want you to think that's not true. And I'm like, no, that it's not the best time. I'm like, no, that resonated. It
now
is the
it's
best
always
time.
the best time.
Right.
Whenever you're alive, wherever you are,
it felt
it's the
true
best
for
time.
me right now.
Oh, absolutely,
yes.
It did.
So with that being said, is there something, as he was talking, you're like, that's for me right now?
There were a couple things. I did love that he kept saying that he was a witness of God's work across the world, and he said it in so many different ways. I love the numbers that he used. That it was a perfect witness. And
like, if you're a numbers person, that you're like, oh yeah, well, he had to memorize how many? 13 temples.
15
temples
and then it went
to graduate seminary.
335.
Right. And then if you're like an emotional filler or whatever, then he talks about the spirit and the feeling that the members are having. So it covered.
It was a good record.
It was
nice and robust. Yeah. What really came to my mind was I loved when he said his friends and family search. I love Family Search. I used to be a missionary for Family Search. And he said, if you didn't find your ancestor yesterday, I invite you to look again tomorrow. That is so true. 1 million names are added a day.
Didn't they get a laugh in the crowd? If I listen back to the audio, I think everybody was like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, they were probably really surprised. Mm-hmm. But really, honestly, there's so much to be done with family history work. And if you're sailing along on my Aunt Mildred has done everything and my work's done back to Adam, that's not going to hold any water, because there's more to it than that. It doesn't absolve you from getting to know your people. And it's so easy now. That's the thing. It doesn't take effort. It doesn't take books. It doesn't take microfiche. All the things that used to be done in the past.
Flying to Germany.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the census. All those things. Like, you literally can tap on memories and start reading a story. As simple as that.
Tap on memories and write your own memory.
You can do that too.
You did this. You were Young Women's president. Mm-hmm. Wasn't it you that implemented in your ward, like the family search moment or something?
We did before we started.
Talk about that a little, because I wasn't in Young Women's at the time. So
I was over the Laurels or the older class, and what we would do is just for the first, because we have an entire hour. So for the first 10 minutes or so, I would just have like a different thing that we would do. I'd let them get to know the phone, the menu bar on the bottom. When I say the phone, I mean the app. They either had an iPad or they had their phone. And so they had the Family Tree app, which is the white with the tree on it. That's what the icon is. And we would just go through, and sometimes I would say, Kate, all I want you to do today is just go through and find a story about one of your ancestors. I said, it's easier to start closer, like with a grandma or great grandma, because you're most likely to find something there. I wanted them to have success, So then they would do that, and I would just walk around, the table that we were sitting at and just ask, hey, what have you found? And they would be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that she lived in XYZ. I had no idea that, she wore glasses or whatever it was. And it was just fun to do that. Then also one time I just had him tap on the memories tab, and we did a voice recording, and I had him go different places, and I said, just record how you feel about Jesus right now today. And so it was as simple as that.
And maybe they go home and then they grab that memory off of their mother, their father.
Right.
And they can record that from their app. It's a little hard because when you're still a living ancestor, it's hard for me to know where's the most appropriate to upload that. Ideally, if I have my mom upload it herself, then it goes to all of her living children.
Right.
We don't have to wait, till that record
passes.
I don't want to say that, but yeah.
Right.
So that's a long time down the road for me. That impacted me because Adam and I did a church history tour, and I would get some people saying I know that I'm supposed to be doing family history, but it's overwhelming and and where to start. And because you were doing that in a small and simple way, literally you can get into the family search stuff, and they've made it so easy to record these important things. And I would just show them, I'm like, memories, you can download this special app. This is for memories. Or read a story about your ancestor. And I help them see that family history doesn't have to look like cases and cases of searching and pondering, poring over these hard things. It can be so simple and a 1 or 2 minute thing in your day.
Oh, yeah. I used to, when I was making dinner, I would say to one of my kids, hey, jump on Family Search and find a story of one of our ancestors and share it during dinner. And they got so good at it. It's so cute. Also, parents, I would say, if you don't know how to do it, go ask one of your teenagers.
Kids. Yeah.
Say, hey, here's my phone. Show me how to put a picture on it. And it'll be tap, 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 done. It's just so simple. That is one of the, in one of the Roots texts I was at, I think it was 2019, one of the brethren held up the phone and he said, the Family Tree app, is what technology looks like when it's fulfilling the measure of its creation. And I loved it.
Oh, that is so good. There was something else I was going to say, but I was going to say, this is an addiction. Family history.
It could be.
Yeah, I just a little warning. It does start with a minute or two, but if you tap in, if your ancestors know that you're available and willing to record for them or to be looking into these stories, you will get sucked in.
You'll be a magnet.
Yes, and that is awesome piece of gathering Israel on the other side of the veil.
It is.
Do you feel like you've covered what you wanted to on the family search
totally.
part? I think that was beautiful. What about the power of reading stories from our ancestors?
Love it.
You're extra good at that. There's kind of an easier way to do that with the Family Search app. I go into the fan mode, and then you can say, I'm specifically looking for stories
of this great grandma.
Yeah, my oldest sister, she's involved with, that's her calling, family history stuff. And I think it was through her, but she's kind of encouraged us as the kids are asked to give talks in primary and stuff. She's pulled her information from our Family Search and made that story Nephi is awesome, and then how is this ancestor? Does that ancestor remind us of Nephi? And then she'll share it with us, and she'll be like, "Hey, so and so did this talk in church," so I'm able to share it with my kids. And then lo and behold, in the next week or two, it's time for them to give a talk, and then it's about their ancestor because all of these things work for the good. But when we make connections with our ancestors, then we can have their presence more in our lives.
Absolutely,
we can kind of see a little bit more of where our little pieces and parts have come from.
Mm-hmm. And on whose shoulders we stand. We owe them a lot.
I appreciate, too, the stuff that they write down usually is a nice succinct. If you're recording a life story, especially for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I feel like the highlights of the story kind of lead with maybe ordinances that they had or ways that they've seen God's hand in their life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I've got this Day One app, and some of it's frivolous, and it's just school went good today, the kids did this and that, and this is special. But I also have some, when I look for key dates, I thought, well, what did I record in my journal about conference?
So it's an online journal?
It's online. This one's kind of having a hard time formatting with the newer Apple things, but I've just recently updated it. We've used it on and off. I've already told you I'm terrible at journal keeping, but this kind of works for the person that hates their handwriting or to sit in front of a computer, and I'm pretty good at taking a photo
Right.
of my kids in a moment.
In a couple
Maybe
minutes.
I'm not going to like sit down and like journal about it right then, but I can literally go back. I can go back into the photo shoot and be like, oh, that was actually an important day. Like after some time's passed, I'm like, that was something important. I can figure out that day. I can put it into day one app, rechange the date, and then put my feelings about why I thought that was special.
Love that.
So as I was listening to this talk, I was impressed to think, he's in a special witness, and he's told me in the Spirit, has confirmed to me, I can be a special witness of Jesus Christ. My area of coverage is way different. Like it's not the worldwide church. I do have vision of what my husband and I want to accomplish. Like we want to serve missions and we want to go wherever like the Lord wants us, and that may take us like next door. Like we might be in California. Maybe we'll be in Africa. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like. I can't really anticipate that, but I know his perspective is different because of where they've been called to and they're able to go to. But that doesn't make, what my ability is in my little area right now.
Yes, in your sphere of influence.
Exactly. So I'm like, what lessons am I learning? What things can I do to be a special witness right now?
Are you going to share one of your entries?
Maybe. Well, I did do a quick look at my entries. This is more. I was thinking to be a special witness. If I make a journal entry, that might just be for myself.
Yeah,
that might
absolutely.
be for my future self when I'm like struggling with something. If I have like some keywords and I can like do a search through my journal for, I can make an index of things to search for, like Jesus Christ or testimony or trials or something. I could look back and reflect on my own words, and then testify to myself for a time that it's like needed and necessary.
Right. And through all those years.
Right.
Like it's kind of like a snapshot at that
But
point.
if I'm posting on social media, then I'm a special witness to like my sphere of friends.
Right.
And if I'm bearing testimony in church, that's my word congregation. This podcast that does reach like a larger audience around the world that we get to we get to testify of Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
In that way. So I did do a quick search as I was impressed to think, what am I taking time to record? I thought, what have I mentioned about General Conference? And I found one from October 3rd, 2015. And I said, we sustained 3 new apostles today, and I have no doubt that they are true messengers of God. I love conference. I remember how I used to think it dragged out, and I hated conference weekends, but now I crave it. The messages are so timely and invigorate me and help me know what I need to improve my life. There's a lot. I'm going to need to study these words over the next few months for sure. When I read that to Amy, she's like, man, that sounds like 10 years in the making for what this podcast would be.
I recognize the word, the timely messages.
And I didn't even know I wrote this 10 years ago, but
Love it.
that would resurface and that I'd be able to look back on that was awesome.
So good.
I think probably that's all I need to share from my journal because there's nothing extra special. It's special to me, but
It's just great, though.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a little snapshot of time. And the fact that was almost 10 years ago, that's young mother Abby.
yeah.
And to say that you crave conference, like that's a big deal. It's awesome.
I did at that point. I really
Yeah,
needed it.
it's wonderful.
Definitely needed it. So
okay, one of the things I was thinking of I'm thinking, okay, so the first one is we can read about our ancestors. We can learn about them. The other one is we can record our own dealings with God. I was looking back and, he kept saying, things that you have both seen and heard, or you could say experienced. When you've done that, it's not easily taken away, but I say like not easily because I feel like the adversary does try to take it away. He would love nothing more than for us to forget our dealings with God. And I was thinking of the people in 3rd Nephi how is it that they were actually, a little while later thinking, did we actually witness the sun not setting? And they totally started to believe it, that they hadn't seen it. That's pretty amazing. So I feel like the Lord does bless us with opportunities to see his hand in our lives. And if we take the opportunity to write it down and make a record of it, then it will not be taken from us. It won't be taken from us. So that, like you were saying, for our future selves, we can look back and it won't be taken from our posterity. Like that will be written or recorded in our voice, whatever it is. And that will be something that will carry us through. So I love that part.
I love it too, and not to negate anything that you're saying. What's important for me, what impressed me when you just said that was it was like multiple generations after the people that actually witnessed it. Maybe you were a baby when those miracles happened, and then you were counting on your ancestors to tell you the story that Jesus came. I mean, that's us. We weren't there when Jesus came, but we have the opportunity to look at testimony of that happening or not. But what stood out to me was what I have seen and heard. So that it's within each of us to ask for that witness for what we see and we hear. So how do you see Jesus when he's not physically walking with us right now?
Oh, wow. I see him in the sunsets. I see him in the birds that fly by my house. I see him in the river that ebbs and flows. Like I know what that word means now. I see him in spring. I see him everywhere. And that's just in nature. I see him in just strengthening me in my day-to-day. Like he truly is everywhere for me.
And then how have you heard him? Through the prophets.
I would say prophets'
Through
words.
conference.
And scripture. Sometimes when I pray and ask a question like that I'm kind of worried about or working on, it'll come from a friend. Like Abby will say, hey, such and such, such and such. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was an answer to my prayer. So sometimes I hear it through other people who are listening to the Spirit.
But you're maybe asking for that witness for yourself, and then it's given to you in whatever piece or way.
Absolutely.
Then if you
and I
record
recognize.
That's what, when I just wanted to clarify what I'm saying is I have both seen and heard, and these are the things I'm willing to witness of. What I wanted to say is that can happen, that can be our blessing, that can be our witness. In this day and age, we have every right and ability to know for ourselves. It's great if your ancestors have that story, and that will maybe open your eyes to, what do we need to do to grow our testimony? But then it needs to be your own.
Yes.
I think that's what those words are saying to me.
I agree.
That it's not grandma has both seen and heard, and so trust grandma. What I'm hearing is I have both seen and heard, and that we can each make that own declaration or statement for ourselves.
I love that you said that, Abby, because as I was reading through this the second time, I had the thought of, sometimes we stand back because we think, well, someone else has already written about, maybe it's a specific thing, like let's say, in the Gospels. What if only one person had written about it? We have multiple accounts. We have multiple personalities writing, and we have like this talk or specifically, he was an attorney or is an attorney, and so the words that were a special witness jumped out at him. Someone else who is an accountant, maybe the numbers will jump out at them. Whatever it is, my feeling that I got from the Spirit was there cannot be too many accounts.
Ooh, I love that.
We can all be a recorder.
So it sounds like an action item. Sounds like...
Yeah, right? So make a record would be an action item, or read a record from Family Tree. And then if you want to go the extra mile, you can go ahead and record your own record.
By voice.
Yes.
I think those are all good ways to start. So if you haven't done any one of those things, pick the one that's easiest, just so that you can see that it's something you can just get on and you can do. Like I said, not the best journal keeper, but I'm so proud of all of the entries that I do have record of. And my husband, he's been better at it than me in the past too. And him recording a piece of our life is just as big of a blessing to me. I'm like, I didn't remember that story. Or from his perspective, it makes it extra awesome.
Also, I used to tell my mom when she was just starting with the app and the Family Tree app, I said, set a timer for 5 minutes. When 5 minutes is up, you stand up and you walk away. Hopefully you have done the thing and you have, it should really only take 2 minutes. But if you're frustrated because you can't log in or something like that happens, take a break, say a prayer, walk away, and then start again tomorrow and do 5 minutes.
That was another piece too, because you can go to tasks.
Yes.
And you can say, what's the most important task to work on? And sometimes the Spirit just leads you to the right one. And and you find somebody that's desperate for
that's
you to find them.
waiting for you.
Yep. Because you've shown a willingness, you've sat down to do some record keeping and to show that you value what's happening in the Family Search app. Absolutely. That really means Temple Covenants and helping your ancestors in that way.
And 1 million new names a day.
There are 1 million. There's more work to be done. Mildred did not finish it all.
No, she didn't.
All right. Any last thoughts?
That's it. We're so happy you were here with us. We love this. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.